Clients with ITINs. Over a quarter of our clients don't have and aren't eligible for Social Security numbers. The reason for an individual not being assigned a Social Security number are wide and diverse. Instead of a Social Security number, clients may have an individual taxpayer identification number, which we refer to as an ITIN. The ITIN is a number given to people who aren't eligible for a Social Security number, and the ITIN can only be used for preparing your tax return. The community tax centers will use these ITIN numbers in place of Social Security numbers when preparing a tax return. Some clients will have an ITIN already, while others may need to apply for an ITIN number for themselves, their spouse, or a dependent on their tax return. Unlike Social Security numbers, ITIN numbers do expire and will need to be renewed. So some clients with an existing ITIN will need to renew their ITIN number to continue filing their tax returns. The most important thing to remember is, if someone does not have an ITIN number, do not send them away. We can prepare their tax return and the ITIN application form at the same time. For more information about individual tax identification numbers, refer to the ITIN section on CTC resources. So let's stop here a minute and discuss ITIN numbers a bit more in depth. First, ITINs look very similar to Social Security numbers, but ITINs will always begin with the number 9, whereas Social Security numbers will begin with any number between 0 and 8. Since the start of the ITIN program, there have been many versions of ITIN letters. All versions of ITIN letters are similar in the following 5 ways. They are all green in color. The IRS logo and address is placed in the upper left-hand corner. The name and address of the ITIN holder is located below the IRS logo. The issue date is located in the upper right corner. The ITIN number is always embedded in the middle of the page. When completing the intake interview for a client with an existing and non-expired ITIN number, the process is exactly the same as when you are helping a client with a Social Security number. The only difference is you will be substituting a Social Security card with the actual ITIN letter. During the intake interview, you will photocopy all IDs and Social Security cards as usual. For clients with an assigned ITIN letter, you will include photocopies of ITIN letters for individuals with assigned ITIN numbers. Refer to the Residency and ID Requirement training video to get a refresher on the Community Tax Center policy surrounding acceptable proof of identity. Other clients will enter the tax office needing to apply for an ITIN. In this case, the client does not have an ITIN or Social Security card to provide to you. Do not turn the client away. Instead, process their intake paperwork in the same manner as you would for any other client, except you will be missing photocopies of their ITIN letters. That's okay. We can assist with their tax preparation because ITIN applicants need a tax return in order to apply for their ITIN number. As long as the client has all other items required, we will prepare their tax return. At the completion of the intake interview, give the client a copy of the ITIN brochure, as well as our How to Get or Renew an ITIN flyer. If anyone on the tax return will be applying for an ITIN, check the W-7 applicant box on the processing envelope. If the primary taxpayer will be applying for an ITIN, check the ITIN applicant box above the taxpayer name in addition to the W-7 applicant box on the processing envelope. When working with a client who has been assigned an ITIN but must renew their number because it has expired, we are able to use the client's current ITIN number to prepare the tax return. Since the first step in the renewal process is to complete an accurate tax return, we do allow the use of the ITIN number. Once the tax return has been completed, the client will submit the tax return alongside a renewal form and proper identification documents to the IRS. Do not send these clients away, as paid preparers can charge up to $200 to complete the required document. For these cases, complete the intake interview as usual. Please indicate in the processing envelope that this tax return requires an ITIN renewal. So how will you know if an ITIN needs to be renewed? Beginning in 2016, ITINs not used on any tax return for 3 consecutive years will expire. For example, if an ITIN has not been used in 2017, 2018, or 2019, the ITIN will expire at the end of 2019. Beginning in 2020, the ITIN will need to be renewed in order to file for any tax year. ITINs also expire on a rolling basis according to a schedule published by the IRS. The IRS determines which ITINs expire each year according to the middle 2 digits of the number. Each year, a combination of middle digits will expire. As of the end of 2019, ITINs with middle digits of 83 through 87 have expired. A full list of all ITIN numbers that have expired can be found on CTC Resources. Keep in mind that ITIN holders are notified prior to the expiration of their ITIN and that the client may have already renewed their number by the time they arrive at the tax center. When conducting the intake interview, take notice of the middle digits of the ITIN number to determine if they belong to the group of expired ITIN numbers, and ask the client if they have already renewed their ITIN number. You can also reference the actual ITIN letter to see the issue date of the letter. If the date is from the last year or so, it is likely they have renewed. Here are some facts to remember. The community tax centers don't require clients to have Social Security numbers. Having an ITIN number is allowed. Never send away clients who do not have a Social Security number. There are many different versions of ITIN letters, and Foundation Communities is dedicated to serving undocumented clients.